and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the greatest time of the day. From the center of the universe, New York City, it's the main event you've been waiting for. It's time to go in the cage with Cyclone.
And it's a happy Columbus Day, if we're still allowed to say Columbus or day. Come to think of it, it's not too happy. It's rainy, it's humid, it's mucky, I'm schwitzing, as my grandmother used to say, and I'm also playing like Cal Ripken because I'm coming off of like world's worst cold. I drank like a gallon of Mucinex. I must have popped like 10 billion Luden's cough drops, and I'm still not able to get rid of this god darn cough. But I'm here. I am here for all of you, my many fans, my public. I love you, so I couldn't stay away anymore. Sort of like that battered girlfriend syndrome sort of deal. Anyways, lots and lots to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about everything Vegas. You know, UFC 216 was out there, so got to talk about that. Got some very juicy topics we're going to discuss. Have some new bits for you guys that we're going to be playing a little bit later. Obviously, we're going to do Facebook raffle. So, just want to remind everybody, hit me up on Twitter, CYCIE19. Check me on Facebook, In the Cage with Cyclone. Click like, and you guys can enter my many raffles. As a matter of fact, this past weekend's raffle, not too many happy people because of the 2 draws, but we're going to get into that too later on. We'll talk Bellator 184 really fast. But you guys can also go check out the everything you want to know about me at CycloneComedy.com and read everything I write on Bonehead Picks. But guess what, everyone? We're going to start it all off in just 2 and 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do before we dive, see, I'm conjugating the verb here for you. Before we get into everything UFC and 216 and everything Vegas, just want to hit up first about Bellator 184. We have a new bantamweight champion in Bellator, Darian Caldwell. First of all, anybody who's shocked that Eduardo Dantas got beat should be beat themselves. Okay, yeah, you know what? The kid's a great fighter, great jiu-jitsu, but the fact of the matter is he is hype. He's not all he seems to be. Sort of like, like the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. That's my feelings on Dantas. I know most of you people don't agree with me, but you know what? It's my show. I get to say what I think. Got to give it up to Emmanuel Sanchez. I mean, here's the deal. When you're fighting a big bull like Daniel Strauss, a guy that's bigger than you, badder than you, stronger than you, sort of like a Rocky Drago sort of deal, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you just had to know that he would use a submission to win as he did. Although it did take him 2.5 rounds to do it, it's not too shocking. And big props go out to the returning Pat Curran after like 18 months from being away from the sport, needed to get away, comes back, takes out John Teixeira by unanimous decision. And that's actually his third unanimous. He left winning 2 fights in a row by unanimous. And now he's back winning by unanimous. So you got to give him props that the ring rust wasn't really there. He was really crisp with his striking. And when you come back after 18-month layoff, stuff like that normally doesn't happen. But the biggest props, I got to say, the biggest props have to go out to Tegan Dooley. Wow. This light heavyweight, holy smokes. If you haven't watched him, YouTube him, Google him, do what all you tech kids do today. Tegan Dooley, and after he won by submission over DeMarcus Simmons, what he wound up doing, his instant reaction of glory and happiness, that's one of those moments where you say, holy smokes, this kid is truly happy. And then in the Conor McGregor, someone's has got to go fight, Carrington Banks is now 7-0, and Steve Cazzola drops to 8-1, which is hard to see him, drop a fight, because I'm actually a fan of Steve's. But boy, the jet setter came to fight. And he brought it to him. So that is a quick recap of 184 from Bellator MMA. Now let's talk about Saturday, if we can. First and foremost, wow. Holy smokes, holy bejesus, Demetrius Johnson. Mighty. See, and I'm going to drop the mouse because he's calling himself mighty now. He's not really using the mouse anymore. But wow. Got to give that guy props. And his coaches said that he actually practices that finishing move in the gym. And it's hard to imagine that you can do a suplex / throw into an armbar. But, wow, that was an incredible move. I mean, even Joe Rogan said he's never in his life seen anything like it. Lord knows I haven't. And you got to give it up to Ray Borg. First of all, Ray came to fight. Did he get smoked? No. Did he do as great as he could have done? Nah. He could have done a little bit better. But he hung in there. And what was it? Like a minute and a half left in the fight, and you could have said he went the distance with the champ. And that's something nobody else has done. Demetrius has finished everybody. See, I told you I'm sick. I'm still coughing. But the fact of the matter is, Ray didn't give up. And that arm, that arm of his was twisted like people take stuff on the streets and twist things, But, wow. So the record is now Demetrius's for title defenses, but he has one other record he's now chasing of Anderson's, and that's consecutive wins. Anderson has 16, Demetrius now has 13. So, does he stay at flyweight for those 3 more, in theory, defenses? Well, they would have to, because the second he loses, it's no longer a streak. But, yes, I think the next fight for him should be Sergio Pettis, then maybe a rematch against Cejudo. And then I don't know. Maybe one of the youth guys coming up, like a Jared Brooks, who I know, climbing the ladder very fast. But Pettis, Cejudo should be 1 and 2 his next bouts. Maybe then some sort of a super fight. He's lost to Dominic Cruz back at 135. Maybe he takes that fight first. Maybe he takes on a TJ. Maybe a Cody. Can't really see Cody, though. Could see TJ. But I got to move on to the main event. And here's the thing. First of all, the commission allowed Kevin Lee to fight with a staph infection on his left chest. That's nuts in my opinion to begin with. Okay, those things are contagious. Okay, you can't. And I get it. You don't want to lose your main event. You don't want to screw up a card like that. But it was a bad week for Kevin Lee, and it's a bad week for me with this cough. Holy smokes. But yeah, here's the thing. I've hopped 1,000,001 freaking times about it. I'm anti-weight cut. I think if a fighter walks around at 180, he should fight at 180. If he walks around at 375 pounds, he should fight at 375. If you walk around at 100 pounds, you fight at 100 pounds. No more of this weight cut. It's an archaic form. It's something that should not be done anymore. So I'm totally against it. And I know Dana said he doesn't want any more weight classes. But the fact of the matter is, it's only going to add 2 more weight classes, a 165 and a 195. But let's just talk about the fight right now. You got to give it up to Kevin Lee. I mean, first of all, El Kukui trains with Eddie Bravo, and that guy is he's like Yoda. I mean, first of all, his theories on life are a little bit screwed up, but the fact of the matter is, when it comes to martial arts, Eddie Bravo is Yoda. So you had to just know, between Tony Ferguson's sick cardio and the brain of Eddie Bravo, it's a dangerous combination for any fighter. And that includes Conor. And here's the thing. Tony leaves his chin out. Tony gets hit. Conor hits people. Is that the fight that gets made? I don't know. I'm not a matchmaker for the UFC, but I think the Nate trilogy will always be there. He's been called out by 11 other fighters, so here's the deal. With Conor being the champ and Conor being the moneymaker, he gets to call his shots. That's just the way it is in life. When you are the top dog, you get to call the shots. Okay? I think that Kevin being humbled in the post-fight presser was a good sign. He himself knows he has to go up a weight class now. But at 170, he's going to get smoked. I think one of the issues with the card, and it's going to go into something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, Fabricio Verdum against Walt Harris being thrown together like 2.5 hours before the card even started. Yeah, you want to hold as many fights together on a card, but I don't know if you want to put two guys together, and whether if it's those two or any other two people. Last second, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Brain sometimes is the better part of valor or whatever that phrase is. I think it's better to have one less fight on a card than a last second possible screw up or injury or whatever. And let's talk about these draws. And man, Lando Venata and Bobby Green, not only did they throw down like rock'em sock'em robots, but I mean Lando's face, if you saw it as he left, both eyes were cut, his nose was cut. He was in bad shape. And the fact that Bobby just kept coming just shows how dangerous of a fighter he's going to be. Lando's sort of like that I don't know, that veteran that's always going to be there. And I hate to say that he's the keeper of the gate. He's the one that everyone's going to make a name off of to bunny hop over. But it's sort of looking like that's the way his career is starting to go, I think. And I think right. Oh, and the other one, Dunham and Darush. Wow. To see two draws in Vegas on a card that had so many possible changes, so much outside things happening to this card, I guess there's only one saying that can be truthful. Anything is possible to happen in Vegas. And even though I talk about, constantly the weight cuts and I'm anti-weight cutting, to have the Nick Lentz Will Brooks fight called off, here's the thing. I'm going to cut Nick Lentz some slack. And I'm cutting him slack because, A, he's never missed weight before, and B, his issues this time around. And if you don't understand, you don't realize what went down with him. The fact is, he was rushed to the hospital because he had diabetic-like symptoms. And let me put you guys like this. As a type 2 diabetic, that stuff ain't fun. He was suffering from finger tingling, from toe tingling. And you don't want a guy fighting that's going through issues like that. To my knowledge, and I think I'm right, there's been only 3 fighters ever to fight with type 1 diabetes. And that's look, you can fight with a bunch of diseases. You can fight with mono. I mean, Tommy Morrison fought with HIV, so, I mean, You could fight with anything. I guess you could truly fight with cancer too, because you could go through chemo and stuff. Diabetes, yeah, not so much. That's the one where you might not want to be fighting with. But I'll cut him some slack. And here's the thing about Derek Brooks and his fight with Fabricio getting called off. He woke up in the late afternoon, and he couldn't get out of bed. He actually needed help to get out of bed. And like the commission says, if you can't get yourself out of bed, you can't fight. And I fully believe in that. I fully agree with that. But here's the thing. I think, and it might come out very soon, as a matter of fact, sooner than later, I think Derek Brooks is suffering from spinal stenosis. Because the last couple of months, he's had the same issues. And it just sounds to me, because my dad had spinal stenosis, it just sounds that that's what he is suffering from. So, before we get into everything that went down in Vegas, let me once again say, for the 10 bazillionth time, the UFC and MMA in general needs to add weight classes. I'm so anti-boxing. I believe boxing is a dying sport. But the one thing they have going for them is the more weight classes. And like I said before, it would only add 2 more weight classes, a 165 and a 195. You got guys at 155 and at 170 that would be perfect for 165. There needs to be a 165 division, much to Dana White's chagrin. You need it. And if they're giving out interim belts like candy, giving out 2 more belts, legit belts, would be that much better. And same thing with 195. The jump from 180 to 205 is just as big and is just as, quite frankly, retarded. Yes, I said retarded. I know a lot of you people don't like that word, but tough. It's retarded to not have these extra weight classes. The UFC TV deal, it's done. They are, I would say, probably right now, if not right now, rather soon, talking with other companies. The exclusive rights to Fox have expired. They actually expired early last week. And look, here's the thing. They need less fights on cards. They need less pay-per-views. Maybe do, a pay-per-view 10 months out of the year. Have Fox cards once a season. So like once in the winter, once in spring, once in summer, once in the fall. So that's 14 cards in a year. And then maybe 6 fight night cards a year, like in every other month sort of deal. So 20 cards a year would be, I would say, optimum for them. Okay, you could put the Fox card, what was the Fox cards on if they join another network or whatever, put that on there. Maybe like a TBS, TNT sort of deal. Move the fight night cards to, I don't know, say a Showtime, now that Dana and Steven Espinoza have once again, thanks to Floyd Connor, a working agreement, working relationship once again. And then the pay-per-views keep on pay-per-views. But the difference between the UFC stuff and Bellator and Invicta or Rise, anything, is the UFC has the top-notch production stuff. That's what separates the UFC and everybody else, basically. Yeah, their roster's bigger and better. More eyes are on them. They're working with a bigger bankroll. But what really separates them all is their production value. The UFC's production value is off the mark. And one of the things new owners have done, in a cost-saving situation, is they stopped with the bigger press conferences. And I get it, you don't want to constantly fly fighters into a city, put them up, have the venue rented out, do the press conference, then fly them back to their homes. I get it. The idea of using conference calls, I don't like it as an autograph person's sort of deal, but it's something that could be looked at as a good thing. Although, frankly, I wasn't too exactly happy that they moved the 217 press conference to Vegas. But I understand why they did it with 216 being there. They don't want to have the presser in New York and then rush everybody to Vegas. You just keep everybody there. It's cost saving, money. And now I got to bring up the whole Vegas incident. A lot of people originally thought that they should not even have a card this week with what happened at the Country Festival. Now, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories. I don't want to get into the politics about it. But I do have something I want you all to think about. What if that lunatic, that face of evil, Stephen Paddock, was a patsy? What if he was a plain and simple patsy? Nothing more, nothing less. Could he have possibly done all the damage he did by himself? No. I'm in the camp that says no. And here's the thing. If you add just one other person to help him, you have a conspiracy. You have a conspiracy, you have knowledge. I think because he was a high roller, who's to say that the FBI and, government didn't know? Because the fact of the matter is, if he was, and one of the rumors is he was a arms dealer and he dealt with other countries, that would explain the arsenal that he had in the room, in his house, in his car. But that's what I think. And like I said, I don't want to really talk too much about it. I just want to say that, prayers and thoughts are going out to everybody that was affected. And a lot of people from the UFC, being that that's their home base, are the ones that were affected. So that's my diatribe on Vegas. But all in all, the fact of the matter remains that it's sport. You know, just like after 9/11, after any big, bad, tragedy, it's always going to be sport to bring people back to life, And once again, it did its job. Now to a much, much lighter topic. Gabby Garcia. I'm sure you guys have all heard about her. She's 6'2", she's 200 pounds. She's this freakish monster. She's a 10-time jiu-jitsu champ. Apparently, possibly, might be heading to the WWE. And yes, I know WWE isn't really technically combat sport entertainment. I'm not going to get into that argument because that's a whole nother ball of wax. But Gabby Garcia might be heading to the WWE. And she might mix it up with one rowdy Ronda Rousey. And I know that the results would be predetermined, but that might be something fun to actually watch. If you took Cyborg and stretched her body, that's what Gabby Garcia is. Let me just get another hit of water here. Hold on. I'm dying here. That's how much I love you guys that I come to do a show as I'm dying. I want to remind everybody, later today, I believe at 6 p.m., right here on BWRN, is the Sports Book Box Office Podcast with Kevin Goatee and Jeffrey Paul, where they will talk everything sports. And then one of our newbie shows, Boxing Talk with Q&A. I kind of think they would need to reverse show name, like the Q&A of boxing. I think that would be a better name, but that's just me. I'm a creative type. Everyone's allowed to make their own names, but Boxing Talk with Q&A, Quentin Heggs and Andre Kim Jr., brand spanking new, here on BWRN, where they take the other side. I have everything MMA, and they break down boxing, which frankly, don't tell them that I said this, is a dying sport. Quick reminder, you guys can always hit me up on Twitter, and I would like you to do that. Please, go on Twitter and hit me up. It's CYCIE19. Do that now. Go to Facebook. You all have Facebook pages. I know you do. Get your friends, your family, your enemies, your next door neighbors. I don't care. Get everyone you know to type in the Cage with Cyclone. Click like. Follow the page. Comment on stuff. Enter the constant raffles that I have. You can win many great prizes. As a matter of fact, later today, someone's going to win a prize. Go to CycloneComedy.com. Check out everything I do there. It's a really fun page. And you can really, if you really, really, really are interested, and you should be, because I have cool stuff, you could buy one of my great souvenirs. Oy vey, as my grandmother would say. And then go to boneheadpics.com. Check out everything that I write. All you got to do is go to the right side of the page, click Other, And then you will see the MMA stuff. Just click on it. Read them. Comment on my articles. Share the articles. Tell your friends and your enemies about my articles. If you agree or if you disagree, say so. Let's get what we call a friendly conversation going. We'll talk about in a little while the upcoming fight schedule. And like I promised you, all the fun bits are coming up right after this.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller. This is Dan Murray. I'm here at Wrestling. I'm Nick the Carney Lance, and you're locked into the cage with Cyclone.
And guess who's back? Me. Sick, schwitzing, sweating, tired. Me. I'm back. And like I said, let's talk upcoming schedule. Yes, the upcoming fight schedule for MMA. It kicks off on Friday. This Friday. Friday the 13th. Which can't be a good thing. Not that I believe in that stuff. But LFA 24 from Arizona goes down. Matthew Frinchu is taking on Curtis Millender. And also 24-year-old BJJ expert, the popular beyond belief Mackenzie Dern steps into the cage against Mindy Polk. So that should be a fun card on Friday the 13th. So you can watch that card as right after you close your doors, you lock your doors, you lock your windows, you're sitting there, you're biting your fingernails, you're biting your toenails, you're all, nervous about Friday the 13th as you're not anywhere near an open ladder. You're nowhere near a mirror. Nothing, no bad stuff. You can watch LFA 24. Then on Saturday, one of my favorite companies out there, Cage Warriors from Wales. And it's not coming from my body, if anybody is saying that right now. No, it's the other Wales. It's the Wales in England, London, yeah, that's where Wales is. But that's Saturday, and there's a great welterweight fight between Lewis Long and Roberto Soldic. Sunday, the 15th, everyone's favorite from Fugoro, Japan, Ryzen FF7, the World Grand Prix Open, round part 2 goes down. And one of those bouts, as a bantamweight wildcard fight, former UFC, former Pride fighter, Tetsuya Kawajiri, who, if you could believe it, at 39 is still fighting. He's 36-11-2, is taking on Gabriel Oliveira. See, that's what fighters are on the downside after the highlight of their careers, their waning days. Head to a Ryzen. I don't even think they belong in Bellator. Let them go to like a Cage Warriors, a Ryzen, a Global Fight Night. Those are the places where guys can go. And I think it's a good spot for them. And then, if you remember the last show, we talked about Mayu Yamamoto. She's actually in a super atomweight fight against Irene Rivera. So how cool is that? That she's going to be thrown down on Sunday too. Then I'm going to speed up to the following week. Mohegan Sun in Unkinsville, Connecticut. A card, by the way, I wish I was going to. Bellator 185. The debut of Gegard Mousasi. And let me tell you something, it is going to be a super fight with him and Alexander Shlemenko. Okay, you have Liam McGarry taking on replacement Bubba McDaniel. Brooklyn's own Heather Hardy. My girlfriend is fighting against Christina Williams. Now, don't tell that to Heather that I called her my girlfriend, but it's just a secret between me and the voices in my head, you know. And then on Saturday, guess who's back? The UFC, they're back on the 21st. Fight Pass is in Poland. Donald Cerrone against Darren Till. And everyone's whipping boy, Artem Lobov, is taking on Andre Touchy-Feely. And I know what you guys are saying. We hope Andre Touchy-Feely's Artem's face a couple of times. And yeah. That's probably what's going to happen. But, George, how's it going?
Good.
What do you think about what happened in
Vegas?
Yeah.
Ridiculously horrible. Ridiculously horrible. I don't get how someone who actually had no issues or problems goes out of their way to kill people.
And like I said, I don't think he acted alone.
Yeah. I don't know if he acted alone or not, but I know that it's really sad.
Here's here's the thinking of a person like myself. If O.J. Simpson killed two people and didn't act alone, there's no way this guy could have acted alone.
Well, it says, everything looks like he did act alone, and unless it's, a really big conspiracy where someone else was shooting and they shot him in the head after they were done shooting and left him there to hide the evidence. But I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I don't know. All I know is that there's a lot of dead family members and there's a lot of people who will never go home again, and that is sad enough. I hope that the world starts to look at this stuff and starts to figure out how to, find them before they go ballistic like this. But I think it's something that's going to be very hard.
I fully agree with you on that.
But the funny part of the whole thing, and I'm not saying it's funny at all, it's like, I'm doing a joke now. I wrote a joke about ISIS taking credit for everything. The first thing that ISIS did, oh yeah, we converted him, we did that. These guys are such morons, that it's just like, someone just needs to off them, because they don't have enough. I'm just off them all, man. That's it. And keep them quiet from talking.
So.
You have 35 seconds.
Wow.
And then we start over.
Okay, I think we could do that now. Perfectly timed cough. That's what we have in the business. So, we're going to do our little bits. And I'm adding some bits. Because nothing is better than chicken and bits. Let's go into the grab bag. of numbers here and see what numbers we pull for our dream fight. Let's see, we have 42 and 68. So, 42. Wow, this would be interesting. Okay. Rodrigo Gracie taking on Damian Maya. Now, Damian has some great BJJ. He is absolutely one of the best to ever walk the planet. But the fact of the matter is, when you're taking on a Gracie, I don't care if it's Gracie Allen, for Christ's sake. Okay? If you just have the name Gracie as part of your name, you should know BJJ. I mean, especially the Gracie family, right? That's their family. I would imagine Damian would try to gain his back. I could see Rodrigo tossing him off and like slapping an arm bar on him. Normally I would go my favorite hold, and everybody that knows me knows my favorite hold is a Darce choke. I'm thinking it would be like an arm bar. I don't know. I think so, therefore I am. And today I say it's an arm bar. This day in MMA history.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
You know, I gotta tell you, that just took a whole lot out of me doing that to my voice. I'm starting to think maybe I should get some actual jingles for this stuff. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I get some jingles made. I don't know. It'll certainly save my voice. But anyways, on this date in MMA history, just a couple years ago, 2013, Fight Night 29, Jake Shields won by split decision over the aforementioned Damian Maya. And Rafael Asuncao, also by split decision over TJ Dillashaw. I hate TJ. Then in a year later, 2014, just 3 years ago today, everybody probably remembers where they were. It's not the OJ murders. Jason Mayhem Miller getting himself arrested after fighting with 8 Orange County deputies. Man, just a year ago. And I bet you Jason's still very much upset that he decided to take on all those officers. Let's build a fighter, shall we? Now, and if you guys remember, last time up, who did I take? I took Gegard Mousasi with his vision. Now, I'm going ears. I want Andre Harrison's ears. And I call Andre Harrison Little John Jones. And no, he's not like a coke fiend. I call him Andre Little John because he kind of looks like a mini version of him. He's undefeated in the PFL, which I'm surprised the UFC or Bellator didn't jump on him after World Series of Fighting went under. But so far, now we have the vision and the ears of Mousasi and Harrison. And we will continue building a fighter next time. Looking into our spotlight of the night, Daniel, Big Kansas Gallimore. And I'm picking this guy because he kind of looks like Paul Bunyan. But he doesn't have the ox with him. And he doesn't have, like, the axe. The axe or the ox. But he still looks like Paul Bunyan. He's 32. He's 6'5". He's 265. You know, and in this day and age of crossover fighters, he actually is one of the crossover fighters. In MMA, he's 7-3, and he's on a 3-fight win streak. And by the way, all of his wins are first-round finishes, 5 of which come by knockout. And he's 4-0 as a boxer. By the way, 3 of those are by, guess what? Knockout. So, Big Kansas is a big SOB. That you know what? That should be his nickname. Daniel Big SOB Gallimore / Paul Bunyan. Okay. And as far as before we get to everyone's favorite Facebook question, I'm adding a bit like I promised you guys as I try to get poop out of my eye. Not real poop, fake poop. 2 of the biggest things that are so, you know, personal. They're you can argue either way about things. Is the GOAT discussion and a pound for pound discussion. I'm not doing a GOAT discussion, although anyone who knows me, anyone who doesn't know me, knows that I say if you've been popped for drugs, you don't go on the GOAT list. So that includes Anderson Silva. And you know what? All those Pride guys, hate to say it, they're under suspicion too. So, no Fedor. Sorry. Can't be there. But what I'm going to do is do my pound for pound list. And look, here's the thing. And I don't want any of you guys whining and complaining and moaning and groaning about it. It's the way that I see it. Starting at 15, I go Cynthia Calvillo. 14, I have Jorge Masvidal. 13 is where I put Conor McGregor. 12, I have Jessica Andrade. 11 is where, as far as I'm concerned, Chris Cyborg goes. It's shocking that I have someone from AKA on, but the fact of the matter is I think he belongs there. At number 10, Luke Rockhold. The Lioness, Amanda Nunes, is at number 9. Cody Garbrandt is 8. Tony Ferguson is 7. Tyron Woodley, yes, I am one person who actually gives some love to Tyron Woodley. I have him at 6. The Dominator, Dominic Cruz, is at number 5. My number 4, pound for pound best fighter right now, is Stipe. Number 3 is where I slide in Daniel Cormier. Number 2, really high up on my list because I think if you put her in a larger man's body, she becomes one of the best fighters on the planet, as if like she's not already. Joanna Champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I have as number 2 on my pound for pound list. And number 1, is there really any shock? Is there any surprise here? Demetrius Johnson. Who else can possibly be number 1 right now? So that's my list. Now you could go compare it to the list online and realize mine's better. And George, would you like to pick a number between 1 and 9 for our Facebook question winner?
3. Number 3.
Guess what, man? I really feel bad for Brandon May. He's had a bad week. But guess what, Brandon May? You didn't win this either. I know that was just so messed up to do. That really was. That was so sneaky. But the winner is John James. And his question at number 3 is, should Bellator book Chael and Chuck Liddell? Okay, here's a quick answer. No. Plain, simple, one-word answer. No. Liddell is the reason why I love MMA. Okay? I don't want to see him pull an Apollo and die inside a cage. Not that Chael could kill a fly, but no. I'm not a fan of those Legends-type matches. If they want to fight, they could go do one of those grappling bouts. That I have no problems with, because it would only be grappling. They could do a wrestling bout. I have no problems with that. And in a cage, in an octagon, in a street fight with 8-ounce gloves, no. I don't want to see Chuck ever fight again. I know he's, he wants to. You could tell he wants to get that juice back. He wants to get back in there. But no, Chuck. And I'm going to make sure Chuck hears this. No, buddy. No. And to Scott Coker, you better not book this. Because I don't want to see this. So there. John James, you win. After the House won the 216 predictions raffle, John James takes the Facebook question raffle. And we will have another raffle in 2 weeks. But I want to remind everybody, please, pretty please, go to Twitter, CYCIE19. Hit me up. Chat with me. I don't have too many friends, so I like people chatting with me. Okay? Go check out CycloneComedy.com. Everything about me. I need a stalker. Stalk me from my website. Go to the Facebook page and stalk me there too. In the Cage with Cyclone. And then read everything I write on boneheadpics.com. So, in closing, I want to remind everybody, I will be back October 23rd, I think. Maybe the 24th. You know what you guys got to do? Just follow along on In the Cage with Cyclone on Facebook, and that's how you know when I'm going to be around. Because I'll tell you. Okay? It's that simple. But until that next show, I just want to remind everybody, just because you're not an athlete doesn't mean you cannot be an athletic supporter. And I'm taking my sick butt home. Bye-bye. Bye.